You're about to listen to an excerpt of Secret City Geek Lab broadcast on KTSTFM.com every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. For more news, reviews, and interviews from the world of geek, visit the Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity. Enjoy the show. First up, The World's End. We reviewed this 2 weeks ago, but then Joey A. Shope and Liam Holton got into the mix, and they wanted to talk about the movie as well. The World's End is the third installment of director Edgar Wright's trilogy of comedies starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. In The World's End, 20 years after attempting an epic pub crawl, 5 childhood friends reunite, when one of them becomes hellbent on trying the drinking marathon again. And here's that review from Joey and Liam. I'm with Liam Holton and Joey Shope, and they saw The World's End. All right. Joey, tell me a quick synopsis of the story.
Okay, well, so Simon Pegg and the other guy, Nick Frost. So Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are old friends, and the very beginning of the scene, or the movie, was them as kids going through this pub crawl. Essentially, they don't make it, and so Simon Pegg's character wants to go back years later, after they've grown up and stuff, and you now see how they've changed and become adults and stuff like that.
Okay, great. Liam, what did you think of the movie?
I thought, as part of the Cornetto trilogy that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and Edgar Wright did, it was a good way to end it, but that doesn't mean it was the funniest. It was actually a lot darker than the other ones, but it ended the series well. It ended on a good note.
Really? Because I feel the opposite. I feel like it was probably their weakest one.
Yeah, as far as comedy, it was their weakest.
Well, no, I feel like as a movie as a whole, it was one of the more weaker ones. You know what? You're right. As a comedy, it was one of the weak ones because it wasn't funny. But I will admit, there is a lot of character development.
Yeah, it was solid acting, and it had developed characters, and they had a good. It wasn't a twist at the end, but the reveal at the end made it worth it. It made more sense instead of in Shaun the Dead. It was just Sean trying to win his girlfriend. In Hot Fuzz, it was just he's an uptight cop. In this one, he had an actual character, and he played it really well.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: when you say this is the weakest of the three, does that still make it a bad movie? Or does it mean it's a bad movie, or was it a good movie?
No, it was a great... as far as the comedy, it was not what I was expecting. It wasn't nearly as funny as Shaun the Dead or Hot Fuzz, but as a movie and as the end of a trilogy, I thought it was good. I thought it was the way they ended.
I mean, yes, acting-wise, I would say it's the strongest, but comedy-wise, it's definitely not. I mean, Hot Fuzz set the bar so high that I was expecting it to be perfect when it came out, but I mean... Here's my thing. I never saw any commercials for it. I never really saw any ads for it. Because the whole idea wasn't... I had no idea going into that. To me, as far as I knew, it was just about Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and maybe a couple of people like Martin Freeman and a couple of other characters going through each bar, and you see one of these characters change. Because it was a pub crawl, and I heard a little bit about like they want to do it again after years of failure. That to me means somebody wants to do it and maybe trying to grow up, or that's what I figured was going to happen. But, I mean, if it's in the commercials, that's not really spoiling it. There's some sort of force or some kind of organization that is replacing people, and, like...
It's an alien force. But I think to go into... It's a trilogy. To go into that movie expecting just a pub crawl from a zombie film and a Bad Boys remake, essentially, to just expect them to just do a pub crawl would... Even without seeing the trailer, it doesn't make sense. It's obviously going to be some form of parody. Shaun the Dead was Day of the Dead. Hot Fuzz was Bad Boys.
I understand that. I didn't really consider those to be parody movies. They were just... Don't get me wrong. They just, especially in like zombie movies, there's archetypes, and I figured that. And they were really parody. I feel like they had their own unique spin on the zombie movie. And I feel like they had their own unique spin on a buddy cop movie. I mean, The World's End is a good acting movie, but as someone who saw no trailers and only knows that they've done 2 funny movies beforehand... I thought I was going to come in there and laugh, decent amount through it.
And you did?
No, I mean, there are, of course, some parts where I laughed out loud. There's some parts where I giggled a little bit to myself. But besides that, it was really not, Hot Fuzz.
So you didn't laugh out loud, though. What about the story itself?
Story, it's one of those things where you're like, it's like an alien force taking over stuff. So really, I'm not expecting this really... fleshed out story, but in reality it's actually pretty fleshed out character-wise. Mm-hmm. You see a character, you see Simon Pegg's characters change, you see Nick Frost's character change a little bit, going from this really high, status to kind of like breaking down to become a little bit more human.
So you're saying, so it sounds like you're saying it's a good story, just not funny.
Yeah, the way I see it is, I'm not upset that I saw this movie, but I'm comfortable never seeing it again.
All right, how'd you feel about story and humor?
I can totally agree with the humor. It wasn't as funny. I think as far as ending a trilogy, though, if they just did another comedy movie, it wouldn't feel like it was complete. But for the story, yeah, I mean, you can tell going into it, it's 5 friends. 4 of them have changed, 1 of them is not. And you can tell that they're there to help him. That's one of the underlying things that really makes it a better story. Is it's about him, and they know it. It's not, I wonder what we're all going to find out. And yeah, I thought it was a neat twist to see, there was clear, it wasn't just he was just still a kid. Once you find out what it is at the end, it really makes it a good story that, not even watching as a comedy, it was just good.
Okay, from Liam, from a scale from 1 to 10, how did you rate This Is the End? The World's End.
I'd give it an 8.
And Joey?
I'd give it a 5, maybe a 6.
Okay.
But definitely a 5.
All right, thanks, guys. This was a production of Secret City Geek Lab on KTSTFM.com. We broadcast every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Visit the Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity.